every video I make, I lie to you. For instance, if I was to make a video on Edvard Munch, I would obviously bring up the scream. Munch painted a scene he saw when he, quote, trembled with anxiety. Anxiety has rightfully been linked to the scream, one of the most recognized artworks in the world, and Munch, by association, was linked to the idea of the troubled, agonizing artist. And how could we not make that association? We wouldn't even need to see his artworks to see Munch's torment. The titles alone are enough. Melancholy, anxiety, despair, separation, jealousy, love and pain. Even when showing love, pain is accoladed to it. He even made a self-portrait in hell. That's the Munch that gives us a good story, that will captivate audiences. I wouldn't make a video on his landscapes, for example, which don't really convey anxiety and alienation. I lie to you in every video I make because I tell stories about art and I don't really want these stories to be boring. But keep in mind, the artists who make sad, angry, or even violent art, more often than not, also make tame or even happy art. I want to show you an artwork or even a series of artworks made by Edvard Munch, which don't really fit the image made of him. Here's a portrait of Rolle, a dog, and it's titled Angry Dog. It's terribly uncanny. It would be creepy if it wasn't so funny. Now, the question we need to ask ourselves is, why did Munch paint this atrocity? Munch had a neighbor named Axel Gunrud. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but we'll say Gunrud. And Gunrud was the owner of Rolle. Gunrud took care of Rolle after his previous owner, Mr. Schumacher, a farmer, died. Rolle grew to be very distrustful of humans. All this information is on the website of the Munch Museum, by the way. I'm paraphrasing the article titled The Story of Edvard Munch and the Dog Rolle. There's even a quote by Gunrud talking about Rolle. If I walked through Schumacher's gate in those days, it would look as though it was about to eat me alive, furious and baring its teeth. There's also a quote by Munch himself who explains that he was tormented by the traumatized dog. To begin with, I would stress that Gunrud's dog outside Gunrud's house and a good way further up the road leading to other houses is utterly dangerous. This is what it thinks it is supposed to be defending. I have myself many times on dark nights been attacked by it, even right outside my own house. Rolle had even bitten Munch, and eventually he reported Gunrud to the police. A fine was given and Rolle was muzzled. However, according to Munch, that didn't really resolve the problem. The muzzle used didn't really prevent any bites. The situation involved the whole neighborhood. Gunrud sent a letter to his neighbors, except for Munch, and it turns out people kind of liked Rolle. In that letter was written, "If there are other besides Munch who are bothered by the dog and wish to have it put down, I shall immediately take due and proper account of this." And there is even a quote from one of the neighbors who wrote, "I don't like the look of it, but the poor creature can't help that." Gunrud also wrote a letter to Munch. "My dog will not be more of a nuisance to you than it is to my other neighbors. Should you not feel reassured by the type of muzzle I am using, which by the way is the usual type, I am most willing to try another kind." After all of this, Munch reported Gunrud to the police a second time. So it is actually just myself and my friends whom the dog threatens, and when the police ask whether the dog has now bitten or attacked other people, it would therefore seem to be I and my friends who are to be bitten. After the countless incidents, I and my friends do not intend to expose ourselves to this ordeal any longer. So we must either take a car if the state of the road allows, or make long detours. Or I must sell the place and go somewhere else. The story finally ends with Munch giving up after another letter defending the dog and proposing the purchase of a new muzzle. He writes to Gunrud, "In response to your letter, I will inform you that when you acquire a really reassuring mouthpiece, I will thus leave the matter to chance. With this, I hope the hot Punic War is over. Another thing is that most relieved would not only be your neighbors, but also you yourself, and most of all, the dog even, if it was killed by a well-aimed shot." So this is the reason why Munch made these drawings of Rolla, the angry dog. It still makes for a good story, but it doesn't feel as important and as deep as the anxiety of the scream. I'm making this video because I feel like this story, though it definitely doesn't have the drama of the scream, is still important and can be deep in a way. It's easy to get caught up in the story of an artist, to glorify their lives, to elevate them to the status of myths. And it's satisfying to do so, to tell the story of these myths, get excited about them, and to maybe emulate them and want to become myths ourselves. This artwork is important because it reminds us that the great men of history, in this case, art history, aren't gods, aren't myths. They aren't necessarily people who lived solely for art and did nothing else. They were people like you and I, artists who lived normal lives, painting, seeing friends, having dinners, and sometimes complaining to the police about their neighbor's dog. Thank you so much for watching. One thing I'd like to say in this video, subscribe to my Letterboxd. My 2025 challenge is to become Letterboxd famous. For those of you who don't know, it's not sponsored by the way, but what Letterboxd, that was a joke. I don't actually want to get Letterboxd famous. But what Letterboxd is a place where you can log the movies that you watch and see what movies your friends watch and like rate them and all that. And I've been really enjoying the experience of following everyone who follows me to see what the audience I have watch and actually rely on their ratings of movies to see if I actually want to watch the movie or not. It's a lot of fun, and you can see what movies I watch as well if I log them, if I don't forget to log them. So go follow my Letterboxd. I think it's in the description. Actually, I don't think it is in the description. It is in the description. So go follow me there on Letterboxd. Thank you for watching, of course. Thank you to all my patrons. There's Roman Brandel, X-Towns, Jeff, and all the other ones who are scrolling next to me right now. They should be scrolling next to me if I haven't talked for too long and all that. But yeah, thank you to all my patrons. It's really, really, really nice to have so many people who are willing to support the channel and not push me to rely on, because that's never something you really want to do. But yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for this. And yeah, thank you everyone for supporting, for watching all the way through. I don't know. So thank you. And catch you in the next video, I guess. Goodbye.